Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Panels. This week we'll be continuing some more Black History Month titles. So kicking off this week, this is a really cool one that I got last year that I really enjoyed. It's Showtime at the Apollo, The Epic Tale of Harlem's Legendary Theater by Ted Fox and illustrated by James Otis Smith. This one is actually an adaptation of his book. And it's really cool. It is, the art in it is just done in blues, which is pretty neat. But it's a pretty exhaustive history all about the theater and the surrounding area. And it goes through all the decades, all the famous people that were there, James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Diana Ross, Jimi Hendrix, and kind of gives you background on them and how the theater has gone through some different owners and how it's kind of gone from prominence to near bankruptcy, prominence again. So it's really interesting if you've been curious about Black history, music. So this is a great read. My next one is The Boondocks. This one is fresh for '01, new Suckas. And I think it's the second collection. But before this was a show on Adult Swim, it was actually a syndicated newspaper strip. So this is a collection of Aaron McGruder's, some of his early cartoons, because 2001 was a long time ago now. It doesn't feel like it. But probably not quite as edgy as the cartoon, but it's still pretty funny, pretty hard-hitting. If you've liked the show, you definitely like this. Like I said, this is the second collection, but we have the first one in the system as well. It's called Because I Know You Don't Read the News. My next one is a new one that just came out last month. This is by Nnedi, Okorafor, and it's After the Rain. This one is another adaptation. It's based on a short story of hers, On the Road, which appeared in Kabu Kabu. And it's sort of like a mystery horror-ish tale, but this is about a Nigerian woman that is going home to visit her family in Nigeria, and she answers the door, and there is a young boy with like massive head trauma, and probably should not be alive. And as soon as he touches her, it like unleashes a whole like change in her and activates like strange powers and stuff. So this one is a pretty interesting read. Haven't read it myself because we just got it in, but it looks really cool. And this one will be at North Huntsville. And speaking of her, this is also by Nnedi Okorafor, and it is the Shuri series. This is the first one. It's just a 2-volume series that came out in response to people loving Shuri from the Black Panther and Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So this is all about Black Panther's sister Shuri. And the series starts out with Black Panther is missing, and so people want Shuri to take up the mantle of Black Panther because it's a familial ancestral thing. So usually someone in the royal family is the Black Panther. So she isn't quite the leader that her brother is. She's more of the scientific, behind-the-scenes type. But this puts her in the forefront and has her team up with some familiar faces and even goes out into outer space to try and find her brother and defend her nation. So this is a neat short series if you're interested in the character, interested in Marvel. And we're going to to hop over to DC for my next one. This one is the Suicide Squad, which I believe I talked about last year with some of my favorite 80s books. But I mention it because this has two really cool black superheroes in it. It has Vixen, who you might remember from some of the DC shows. But she has a talisman and can take on the powers of different animals. But one of my favorite lesser-known characters that I was pretty bummed wasn't in Suicide Squad is this guy right here in the forefront, Bronze Tiger, who is a martial artist that was trained by a number of experts. He was actually trained by the same people that train Batman in martial arts, Richard Dragon, as well as he started out as a villain because he was brainwashed by the League of Assassins, and he becomes one of the leaders of the Suicide Squad. And he's a really underutilized character. He was in the Suicide Squad for this whole run, but I don't think they've used him in like a decade or two. So like I said, this is a really great series and some really cool characters. Because we got Count Vertigo, we got Vixen, like I said, Bronze Tiger, Captain Boomerang. But this was before Harley was even invented yet. They added her in much later. And we have 3 volumes of this original incarnation of the Suicide Squad in the system. It's definitely worth checking out. My next one is one that we also just got. It just came out, and I was pretty excited. I love these Marvel Epic collections because they're pretty chunky, and they showcase some of the older Marvel stuff that hasn't been in print in a while. So this is the original comics to feature Luke Cage, Power Man. You might recognize him from the Netflix Marvel shows. He was in Jessica Jones and the Defenders. And this is his original costume. You can tell he's from the 70s. He's got a yellow blouse and a tiara. And this is when he had his own series. So it starts off with his origin. And he actually takes his name from a supervillain, Power Man. And it has the issue in here where he fights the original Power Man and beats him for his name. Later on, he starts his own series with Iron Fist, and it's called Heroes for Hire, and it's kind of like a buddy comedy action. But this is just his original run where he fights like Cottonmouth and some of the other villains you might remember from the Netflix show. So if you like the Netflix show, if you're curious in more Bronze Age Marvel, this is an awesome one. My last one today is Black Lightning. This is another new one that was just came out, but it's reprints from the 90s series of Black Lightning, which was kind of like a resurgence of the character. It was written by one of the co-creators of the character, Tony Isabella, and it's about him as a dual purpose of trying to uplift this community of Brick City, where by day he is an inspirational high school teacher that tries to empower the youth of the poor part of the city, and by night he is Black Lightning and goes after drug dealers and criminals and gangsters and all that. So this is a pretty neat run from the 90s. And this is the complete run of the book, so it's another chunky read. But definitely a pretty cool collection. It has some guest stars in there like Batman, and it has a backup story in here with a Kwanzaa tale from one of the DC holiday specials, which is pretty cool. And that is all my books for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or any suggestions about what you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments. And I hope you found some cool reads this month to celebrate Black History. And I will see you guys next time.